we're living. You're all good?
Yep.
Ready.
Good? Yes?
Well, I'm waiting for you to go live on Facebook.
Yeah, it's gonna be up in just a second. It's just syncing. It'll be 2 seconds.
Ah, there we go.
There we go.
How about some music, Michal?
I can't do 3 things at once. No one's that talented, but not that talented.
It'll be 2 seconds.
Ah, there we go.
How about some music, Michal?
I can't do 3 things at once. No one's that talented, but not that talented.
You. Okay. Okay, are we live?
We are.
That's so exciting. Hi, Gilda. Okay, we're good. I think we're live. Everyone's running live. All my ladies on my panel.
We are.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to say hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. And congratulations, Mazal Tov, on your upcoming event in Israel. Hoping everybody here is here for that really exciting reason. For those of you who are not familiar, I am Adina, and my fellow esteemed colleagues are going to raise their hands and we're going to all say hi. So say hi, Judy. Say hi, Michal. Say hi, Penny. And Shani. Okay. Each one of us will take turns. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're each going to speak about a specific event topic. Then we're each going to address some frequently asked questions that were submitted to us or that we've encountered. And at the end, we'll be happy to take questions. Everyone on Facebook Live and everybody here on Zoom is welcome to message us onto the Facebook event messages with your questions, or if you're here on Zoom, you can send it in Zoom. And we'll be happy to address that at the end. Friendly reminder that we all want to make sure that everyone knows is that we are speaking from our professional experience, from our contacts, from our industry knowledge, but we are not an official spokespeople or spokesperson or any sort of body of the health ministry or any government body or, of course, any legal counsel. So we're going to give you our best information and best advice, and I think you'll find it all really helpful. Okay, my name is Adina from A to Z Events Israel. I'm originally from the 5 towns. I've been living in Israel for 16 years. I'm the newbie on this group compared to all of my esteemed colleagues and friends. I'm only doing this here in Israel for 10 years. Planning many, many memorable events in Israel for a wide variety of types of clients from all over the world. The past few weeks have been tough on the nerves and emotions of brides and grooms, sweet 12-year-old girls, and 13-year-old boys and their families. But thankfully, Israel as a whole and the events industry in particular are moving forward. We're opening up. We're starting to move. It's happening. We understand that together with this very positive and exciting change in our status, the transition could still cause concerns or fears about how to navigate the details of your event. And some of you may find it difficult to focus or even imagine planning for the future. So we hope here to make it a little bit easier by offering our professional advice, our perspectives as industry insiders. All the event industry vendors, the venues, the caterers, the florists, the photographers, the musicians, everyone, we're waiting for you. Everyone's waiting for you. They're eagerly waiting. They want to hear from you. They want to get the party going. We had a very unprecedented situation, and there inevitably will be new issues that will arise, new guidelines, new terms, and lots of questions. And as of today, not all the information is clear. It's not all been provided. We don't really know all the answers. Nobody does. Nobody has all the answers. But as industry events professionals, we are always prepared. We are always ready for the most unexpected surprises. And everyone's goal is to have successful events, to have happy clients, And we here are very, very enthusiastic, positive, and excited about planning amazing events here in Israel very, very soon. So that's, girls, how are we doing? Are we good? Okay, good. So my next colleague who's going to speak first, our panelist, is the one and only Shani. Shani's going to talk about music. Music is the atmosphere. Well, I'm going to let Shani. Shani loves music, and Shani's going to talk about music. So here's Shani.
Thank you so much, Adina. I'm so excited to be here. So excited to see so many familiar faces. A special shout out to Mom and Dad. Hi, Mom and Dad. Okay. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Shani Falik Roth, proud owner of Eventfully Yours. Originally from Teaneck, New Jersey, where I studied hotel and event management. I've been blessed to plan hundreds of successful events with a wide variety of sizes, styles, and budgets in America, Israel, and Europe. I'm passionate about making your events memorable and perfect for you. As my motto goes, ours to plan, yours to enjoy. Now is the perfect time to start planning. Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about music. Okay, who doesn't love music? Music, thanks for dancing along, guys. Music is what sets the tone for any simcha. Much like event planning, the music industry never stopped. Many musicians spend hours and hours making their music available online for the world to enjoy free of charge. They've been busy with kumzitzes and concerts and beautiful Kabbalat Shabbats, magical Havdallas, and many days of musical Hallel. Between Pesach and Yom Ha'atzmaut, there's been lots of those. While full-size bands would have been an overkill for a 10 or 20 person event, the musicians have been very, very, very flexible. Many bands reduce services to 1 or 2 musicians with appropriate sound equipment, but never reduced the amount of amazing energy they brought with them. Like us event planners, the musicians are eager to get back to bringing simcha to full-size events. Now is the perfect time to start discussing music styles and checking availability for your upcoming events.
So important. Thank you so much, Shani. We really needed to know that. Okay, next we're going to talk to Judy. We're going to hear from Judy. Judy's going to tell us and talk to us and give us a lot of good advice about your photography, event photography, and a lot of changes going on now. Tell us, Judy.
Hi. First of all, it's so nice to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Judy Krasna, and I run Celebrate Israel events with my partner, Yael Kurtz. Yael and I are neighbors in Beit Shemesh. We've been working as a team, planning all types of celebrations in Israel for over 15 years. And I'm so happy to be here on this panel with my favorite event planner colleagues. So now I want to talk a little bit about photographers. No matter what type of celebration you're planning, photography is super important. You're going to want spectacular photos to remind you of your special day. So in general, my advice to all of my clients is to never compromise on photography. This applies regardless of how many people you're going to have at your event, whether it's 10 or 100 or 1,000. One of the variables associated with Corona is what type of photography package to take. Because if you're having a wedding in your backyard, you obviously don't need the same package as if you're having 500 people in a wedding hall. So what a lot of photographers have been doing recently, because a lot of people have been having, small backyard events now with the intent to do a party later on when the restrictions ease. So photographers have kind of been splitting their package where they do part of it now, like in the backyard part, and part of it when it's time for the party. And in this case, the contracts are revised. Even if you have a verbal agreement, I always recommend revising a contract because it's always really good practice to get everything in writing. And for bar and bat mitzvahs, there are people who have canceled bar and bat mitzvahs with no intent to reschedule because it was time sensitive, obviously. So in this case, a lot of times the photographer will do a photo shoot with the family instead of doing a formal shoot for a party. And for clients from abroad, they're offering, kind of a deferment. where when the family does come to Israel at some later date, they'll do either a photo shoot or, an event package or whatever it is that's appropriate for the family. And I know that like all other event vendors, photographers are trying to be really adaptable. And I can't wait to get back to work, just like we can't wait to get back to work because we all miss parties.
So true, Judy, right? It's so true. Everyone's excited. That was really important. Thank you so much. And we are now going to hear from Michal. Michal's going to talk to us about how to choose and the important things to know when you're choosing your venue for your event.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michal Kay, originally from Toronto, Canada, and I've been calling Israel home for, yay, all the Toronto people on the Israel home for nearly 12 years. I started my business, Michal Kay Events Israel, over 10 years ago, and it's been an incredible, wonderful ride filled with lots of hugs and kisses, which we all miss right now. And I'm so glad all of you can join us today. I wanted to talk about venues. As of next week, we are holding weddings of 50 people, and by the end of the month, we will be able to have 100. And if all goes as planned, and with the Israeli government schedule, all the venues will be open and holding all celebrations as of the middle of June without a limit on numbers. If the government's plans continue to stay on track, there will be even reasons to believe that we'll have like restriction-free events, like no rules. Well, some rules, but maybe no rules. Now is the perfect time to look into planning your future Simcha. There are a lot of events that have moved to later this year and onto 2021, and dates are filling up around the country. So if you're looking to do a celebration, you should hire a planner and start working on it now. Some of the things when we look at venues for our clients, and this was before COVID-19, is making sure the venue has all the right licenses and approvals. In light of your event being affected by travel restrictions, as we have done in the past, we ensure that any negotiations with venues includes different prices for different minimums. Always sign on the minimum amount of people you think are going to come to your event rather than the maximum. There are venues all shapes and sizes and all budget ranges that can meet all of your needs. As experienced event planners, our job is to ensure that we find the right fit for you and your event. Lots of people have sort of talked about like contracts, will they change due to the pandemic? And this has been mentioned by my previous panelists. There isn't an across the board answer when it comes to venues. Each venue, each vendor, each venue has chosen to respond differently. There's an overall consensus when it comes to this arrangement due to the fact that most people didn't think they'll ever need force majeure. Like it was there, but we didn't know we need it. In case you don't know what force majeure is, it is a common clause in contract that essentially frees both parties. This is from Wikipedia, so I'm just letting you all know. When an extraordinary event or circumstances beyond the control of the parties, such as a war, strike, riot, crime, pandemic, or an event described as by legal term act of God prevents one of us, both parties, from filling the obligation under the contract. What I found out today when I did a little research is it actually only encompasses the actual time which is considered force majeure. So this is gonna be an issue of when Israel comes out of the pandemic and we open up, how long does the force majeure last for in Israel? Because it will be different to the rest of the world. But this clause does provide you with some financial protection. Like all my colleagues, we are looking forward to sharing many more celebrations with all of you very, very soon.
Amen.
Yeah. Why, Michal, everyone was waiting to hear that. Phew, thank you. Okay, now everyone knows the most fun part of planning a party, choosing the design, colors, flowers, balloons, and everything. And our expert, Penny, is going to talk about that.
Our expert, okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Penny from Penny & Co Events, and I'm really excited that all of you joined us here online because it helps us understand your issues that concern you most. So a little background about me. I've been in the field of event planning, design, and production for almost 30 years, 26 of which have been in the United States and 4 which have been in Israel when I made Aliyah from Englewood, New Jersey. I have a degree in fine arts, graphics, and design, and I have a passion for all things beautiful and creative, and I'm obsessed with flowers. Which brings me to the topic that I want to discuss today, decor for your future events. But we all know that decor and flowers add so much to the branding and atmosphere of your event. But it's also one of the first things that gets cut out or reduced when budget is a concern. During these Corona days, though, when events are on a smaller scale and more intimate, more people are spending money on decorating because it's a smaller space. And everybody wants to enhance their smachot, whether it's for the people who are there or for people who are watching it on Zoom or online. We've seen a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs, britot, even engagement parties on Zoom. If you're one of those planning to make an event on Zoom or online, Facebook Live, try to make it interesting for those who are watching. You can add things like colorful backdrops, such as balloons, which are beautiful today. They're not like your mother's balloons. Sorry for the mothers out there. Flag garlands, ribbons, anything that gives your event some character and some life. Now, speaking to brides specifically, I want to urge you brides to really have fun with this part of the planning. Get excited looking for inspiration everywhere, outside, on Pinterest, Instagram, bridal magazines online. This is one of the most special days of your life, and even if it's not quite the way you had imagined it, there's no reason it can't be made to look elegant, creative, and memorable. Give it your signature because this is a day about you. Take time with this and enjoy the process. It's actually one of those things you do have control over. Most of all, have fun.
Oh, that is so true. I love that you said that no matter what, wherever it is, it should be their special day. So true.
Did you mean grandmothers, not mothers?
Yeah, she meant grandmother's balloons, not
I
mother's.
meant grandmothers, sorry. I'm one of the older ones here.
Like great grandmothers, great grandmothers.
But it's so true, balloons today. Okay, so we have collected previously submitted questions from fans and viewers and watchers and everyone. So I'm going to present these questions to each one of our panelists and give them a chance to answer. I think you'll all find these questions very helpful. They're pretty common questions. So I'm going to start, let's say, Judy. Judy, given the current situation, should I wait until the last minute to schedule vendors, or should I plan in advance, not knowing what's going to happen?
So that's a really good question. I'm honestly a little torn on how to answer that question because on the one hand, personally, I'm very financially conservative. So I hesitate to advise clients to put down money in what could be a non-refundable deposit when times are still a little bit uncertain. But on the other hand, as soon as the restrictions ease and we have a clear picture of when the entire event industry is going to open, the floodgates are going to open wide and all the dates are going to be taken very, very fast. So I think that if your event is going to be taking place at the end of the summer onwards, like around the time of the Chagim, after the Chagim, toward the winter, and after that point, then I would reserve now, just so that you can get the vendors that you want on the date that you want them. And I'd still be a little more conservative if the events are happening, between now and then. That's my answer.
Good call. I like it. Okay, our next question, Shani, can you help us? Somebody wants to know, will people dance at my event? We just had Corona, so much social distancing. No one wants to touch. Everyone's, what's going to happen if I want to have dancing at my event?
Okay, so I see that as a very easy question. I think it's a definite yes, definite. I understand the concern and it's a valid concern, but again, I assure you the answer is a definite yes. Now, when people are having smaller events and people are restricted as to how few people they can have, each guest is even more than usual handpicked to be there. And typically it's your nearest and dearest, your closest, the ones that love you the most and want to celebrate with you the most. Also, you're not just another person on an already crowded dance floor. Each person really, really counts. As what we've seen already, the trend is that people are dancing, maintaining their social distancing. People are using chairs in between the dancers, but people are definitely dancing. The question isn't, will people dance? It's how will people dance? And I think this is a perfect time for us to get creative. Think about something like a ribbon with the event's logo and the event color scheme. This is the perfect time to get creative, but people, I assure you, will dance.
I love that idea. Let's do
Thanks.
custom ribbons and scarves, and yeah, I love it. Okay, our next question. Okay, Michal, ready for this? Somebody's asking, somebody wants to know, you're the expert, what are the most important questions to ask the vendors when I meet with them before I hire them? What should I know? What should I ask them? What's the important things to know before I hire them?
So first comes first is, does your vendor have insurance and a business license? So a photographer or a venue or musician have to have something called Sud Gemel, which is third-party insurance. So you need to make sure they have it, that you see it, not that they just say they have it. Business license. Vendors, venues. You need to see their business license, their health license, all the licenses they're supposed to have. You need to see them, not just tell you that they have them. What is there? You need to check in everyone. And again, this is before COVID-19. This is nothing, none of this is new to most of us event planners. I just want to say, like, COVID happened, so now everyone's aware of this, but this is before, and this will be 20 years from now. What is everyone's postponement policy? What is everyone's cancellation policy? How much of a deposit does each vendor require? What are the terms of payment? And as I said before, is my favorite word, force majeure, or in Hebrew, koach elyon, and to make sure what is the cause, understanding it, and all that.
So important. So important. Okay, Penny, back to you for a design question. Someone's asking, if I'm having a small backyard wedding, how much do I really need?
Okay, so as an event designer, I'm going to say you need a lot. I understand that people are on budgets and people have priorities, but this is your special day, no matter what the size is, who's there. You're gonna want some nice background because this is where the photographer is going to be taking pictures that you're going to be looking back on, either a wedding or a bar mitzvah album many, many years later.
That's so true.
So I would start for weddings. The most important thing would be a bridal bouquet, because what's a bride without a bouquet? Even if it's a small one, you know, it should have some color because, again, liven up your event, your wedding, I should say. This is just for weddings. If budget allows, I would decorate a kisei kala, a bridal chair, because the bride should totally feel like a queen on her special day. And if you have a handheld chuppah or a standing chuppah, it's important to decorate it a little because this is going to be where all the portraits are taken, most probably. And again, you want to look back years later and think, oh, this is really beautiful. You know, this, even though it was small, you don't even know that not a lot of people were there.
Right.
Finally, the garden itself can have some extra pots of flowers or even balloons. Like balloons today are not, again, like your grandmother's balloons. Shout out to Balloons by Ruti, who really knows how to make balloons look sophisticated, almost as sophisticated as flowers, even though I said I would never say that, but it's true.
Or a combination. She does beautiful combinations.
True, she does.
Yeah.
But whatever size your wedding will be and whatever venue you end up using, that won't really affect your overall design plan. There are many times I created a design proposal for clients who are expecting 300 guests and end up with 150 guests. The design and details remain the same, just for fewer tables. The only thing you need to know is that flowers are typically ordered 1 to 2 weeks before an event in order to assure that we're going to get seasonal flowers and get them on time. My guess is, I don't know, but my guess is that at this point, we should know a week or two before what the government is saying are the rules. I don't know. And
I
part-
think so too. Like we're talking, like Michal, you said that by June, it should be almost restriction free. So I'm thinking by the end of May, we're gonna have answers. You agree? Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I think
unless there's,
unless the numbers go up, but
Yeah.
right now they're
All
staying.
things moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
part of the fun of getting ready for a wedding is selecting your flowers and collecting inspiration photos. Same for a bar bat mitzvah. Look for fun theme ideas that you can develop with your son or daughter so they can partake in the planning and decide how they want the room to look. So just because it isn't a grand scale wedding or bar bat mitzvah doesn't mean it can't be fabulous and festive looking.
Totally. Agree.
Absolutely.
They're a special day.
Yep.
Okay, so Judy, I think this is a question for you. Should I have a party outside in order to have more guests? I think this person is referring to the fact that there's a limited amount of guests. So can we do it outside in order to expand that number?
So, I mean, right now, the only option is to have an outside event. So you don't have a choice at this
Lucky we have
moment.
gorgeous weather, huh?
But we see that the restrictions are gradually easing. And that's our hope that soon this isn't going to be the case.
Right.
So my answer is that as of now, I mean, the indication is that by the middle of June, all restrictions are going to be lifted. At least that's how I'm interpreting the news. So theoretically, there's no indication that there's going to be a distinction between an indoor event and an outdoor event
Right.
as of now. But that being said, if you're making an event during this summer in the next few weeks or few months, just to be safe, if you are choosing an indoor venue, I'd make sure that there is an outdoor option just in case. The Ministry of Health at some point may make a differentiation between indoor venues and outdoor venues. So the answer is, I don't think that there's a difference in terms of the number of guests. It's just going to be a matter of when we can move indoors, and that is still unknown.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point. Okay, how about Shani? This person is asking, if my event is at a standstill, if I don't know where it's going, I don't know exactly the details of when it's going to be, how can I move forward and what should I do to move forward?
So I've heard this question multiple times from my current clients and from potential future clients, that they feel like it's just a waiting game. There's nothing to do. Let's wait and see until all the restrictions are removed, and then we'll get going. And I think that now is the perfect time. There's so much that you can do that does not involve any financial risk, any financial obligation. Things like start with a guest list, start with making a logo, a hair and makeup trial, invitations, wording for invitations, things you want to order, whether it's kippot or benchers or other swag, buy your rings, look for a ketubah. There's so much that can be done, and it'll keep you focused, and it'll help keep the excitement and the buildup for when things are lifted and we can get back to full-size events.
So true. It's true. It gets you excited when you start having lists and things going on. And yeah, that's good advice. Okay, Michal, this is your forte. You have to say,
I become a governmental spokesperson.
you're going to say force majeure again. Get ready. You're going to say force majeure again. Okay.
Yeah.
So they want to know if after now that we're past and moving forward and what's going to be in the future, do you think that contracts have changed, will change? Do you think that cancellation or rescheduling of events is going to be harder or easier? How do you think it's going to affect that part of events planning?
First of all, I need to shout out to my friends in Carnation Run down there. I see you all there. There you go. Only one of you waves. It's fine. Hanina, go back to sleep. It's okay. So basically, most vendors are changing their contracts, whether that be adding force majeure to them or changing their deposit amounts, changing their cancellation policies. Most vendors are changing, and most venues are probably willing to negotiate as well. Necessary, maybe not in price, but definitely probably in the contract aspects of things. You know, we have these dates. We have May 31st, we have June 14th, and I think there are weddings that are going to happen after May 31st with 100 people. And there will be venues that open up that are, again, as Judy said, as said, outside venues. And we'll be limited to 100 people, and whether it be 100 people for chuppah, 100 people for dinner, whatever it is, what you choose. Talk to your venue. Venues are willing to negotiate in regards to your minimums. So that's the first place in regards to contract with venues. And in the future, I think, yeah, there will definitely be changes. But venues want your event. Vendors want your event. That doesn't mean prices will change, because I'm not going to say that at all. But I do think contracts will change.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think that's very smart. Okay, Penny, what do you think about this? Everybody wants to order their swag, you know, hats and sweatshirts and water bottles and bear konim and all the fun stuff. So this person is asking, how do I order my custom items, all my swag and things, if I don't really know the date of the event?
Okay, we've been asked this a lot. Basically, we tell them that they should order everything as they were going to, and just have the monogram or the logo printed, not the date. Because if you don't know the date, it's not, you know, you don't want to give something that has the wrong date. So when you do find out the date, then you can get a tag or even a ribbon or a sticker, something to add the date. And at this point, everybody understands, and they're not looking for real, you know, professional everything. They get it. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I think that you guys do all agree that we're finding that everyone's being very like accommodating and flexible, and they know that things are happening minute to minute and day to day, and just trying to accommodate and do their best they can to make it work, and to order things quickly, and to get things done quickly, and to, you know, have these kind of like last minute notifications, don't you think?
Definitely.
So that's good news. That's good news. That means everybody's
Sure.
like on board, and everybody's helpful, and everybody's accommodating. So, okay, I guess I should answer something. Should I answer a question?
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm going to answer a question. So somebody asked, how do I know what the new regulations and guidelines will be? You know, what are the safety regulations? What are the limitations? What's going to happen? So my answer is, well, right now we don't. Right now, nobody knows, and that's okay. We're moving forward. We're planning event. All of us here, all of the event planners tonight that are speaking with you we're all booking. We're postponing events, rescheduling events, and booking new events. So that means that despite the fact that we don't know exactly all the limitations, it's okay. We're going with it. Everyone's going with it. We don't know exactly if there's, like, for example, maybe we can't seat 12 people at a table like we used to. We'll only have, 8 people at a table, so there's more spread out. Maybe there won't be 10 tables in a hall that normally held 10. There'll only be 7, and they'll be more spread out. So we're assuming a lot of things. We're working even ahead of the game, planning it in advance. We're basing it on some of the other industries that have already opened up. So, we know that there's a social distancing issue. We know that there's an issue of safety equipment, protective gear, the things that might be needed. So we're planning in advance, and we're assuming a lot. And, everyone's literally waiting for that moment when we get that email or we get that phone call, and the official notification will come in, and we're going to make it work. Everyone's going to make it work. So we're ready for you. We're ready for you, right, girls?
Someone actually sent me a WhatsApp question, so I'm going to throw it out to the event planners. We've talked about this, invitation etiquette. What are we doing with it? What are we advising our clients in regards to invitations, dates, venue? Like, what are advising? I don't know.
Like when to send it out, you mean?
Hanina, when to send it out, or
Hold on, I just unmuted. Hi. My question was about invitation etiquette, meaning if you have an event And according to the regulations, it looks like things will be open, right? So you can have as many people as you were planning. Do you send out invitations on time? But then what happens if there's a spike and they say, okay, now you can only have 100? Then what?
Okay. I'll tell you what I've been telling my clients. Generally they say in the United States or in Europe, generally they say invitations go out 6 weeks prior to the date of the event. And here in Israel, we do it 3 to 4 weeks, depending if it's a wedding or a bar.
We're lucky.
Depending if it's a bar mitzvah or if it's a wedding. So I've been telling my clients to wait. Just don't even send it out that early. So many people today are using digital and, e-bites and paperless post and not sending snail mail. So you don't really have to worry about planning it that far in advance. You can have the invitation ready to go and press send a week before when you know that it's really going to happen. And everyone's aware of the situation. So no one's going to say, wow, I can't believe they only got the invitation a week before. I already have plans. Like everyone's going to go with the flow. And then the people who are supposed to be there are going to be there. What do you guys think? What do you think, Johnny?
I want to piggyback on Adina, what she said. We're all in the boat together. So it's not like someone's going to be insulted. I was invited and how come now I'm not invited? Everyone understands if now we do regress and now you can only have 50 people or 100 people. So the tier B people are going to understand why they're not included. They really
Right.
want to be there, but why they're not included.
Right.
There's also all different creative solutions about how to include them. If it's, Shara Brachot at a later point, if there's some other celebration.
Right.
Right. Okay, we have another question that came in.
One
on-
second.
Oh,
One
go ahead.
second. You're asking what happens if you plan for 300 people, you sent invitations out to 300 people and you're ending up with only being allowed to have 100. So my suggestion really is to not invite 300 people, invite 100 people. You can always add, you can't really subtract. That's my opinion.
I would also say the same thing. And also if we end up with the 100 and you're gonna do what everyone did before the rules came in, right? Which was like 100 for one part of it, 100 for another part of it, and then 100 for a third part.
Right.
And then you got a 300 people wedding, right? Hanina, I'll explain it later, but where you have like these different times for different guests, that way you can send it out and a week before and you're invited from 6:30 to 7:30, and then the next people 7:30 to 9:30 and 9:30 to 11:30. And that's okay. And everyone's aware of the situation. So that can go out again a week before, 4 days before,
Right.
but you can start making those lists. Just as Shani said, do your lists. What do you want to do that for?
And don't forget, we could be, here we are, we're a creative bunch. Let's be creative. I have a client who is, I love the sparkly mask.
Kathy.
I love that.
I love
No advertising.
They, talking about being creative, they're sending out an invitation with a live stream link for people to join virtually, and only a very small amount are getting an actual invitation to show up in person. So that's also really exciting to get that kind of invitation. People like that too. Okay, we have another question that Michal, you're gonna tackle.
Yeah. Because force majeure, insurance, my expertise. What's the question, Adina? You want me to say it?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Right.
Answer.
Gabby Hammer, wherever you are. Why would a photographer need insurance and for what? I think Herschel's actually here somewhere.
Right.
But
Where's
basically-
Herschel?
Herschel's here. But basically, insurance, any vendor that has equipment, designers, photographers, musicians that bring equipment into a venue need to have insurance, because if, God forbid, someone trips or a light bulb explodes and God forbid someone gets injured, then the photographer is covered because he has insurance. A lot of venues that we work with, you have to show the venue that the vendors that you're bringing in have third-party insurance. And it just covers everyone. It covers event planners, it covers the families whose events it is, and it covers the vendor.
Like it's not just what you just described is not only for a photographer. Really, it's for
No, that's why I said it's for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, like meaning like the same reason anyone would need it, the photographer would need it.
Right. I said designers, musicians, any vendors that have siud and furniture, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. We have another question here. We sort of touched on this already, but it's a little bit more specific. She's asking for events that are being canceled. Do we see halls, venues returning money? So the answer is every situation is different. Every event is different and every contract is different. Even in the case of force majeure, act of God, sometimes there is a non-refundable deposit. There is such a thing as a non-refundable deposit. I personally, and I think most of us here agree, we are encouraging our clients, if possible, not to cancel, to postpone. The halls, the venues are very, very accommodating and very eager and anxious to let you postpone at no additional costs because, you know, they want it to happen. So it doesn't have to be a money loss just because the date doesn't work. And really the bottom line is it's very specific. It's very event and client and contract specific, and you need to ask that specific vendor. Try not to cancel. What else do
Can
we
I say something? By the way, there is something a long time ago, I did look into it. There is, not now, and I don't know if it's going to cover force majeure, but there is event insurance, wedding insurance. And I think, again, people who are planning future events, not in the time, you know, once we pass what we call the force majeure time, is those people, you know, that they're planning events, suggest event insurance. The event, and speak to your insurance broker. They know about it. They know what it covers. Doesn't cover everything, but it maybe now it's something that we, you know, suggest to everyone.
It's more on people's minds.
Yep.
Could be. Okay, that's great. Any other questions that came into you guys? I'll tell you a cute comment that Ruthie, Penny, you mentioned Ruthie, our balloon queen. So
Hi, Ruthie.
she said that she said she has Tzad Gimel. Like, it's not only for the, you know, like whatever we were talking about, photographers and everyone, even the lady with balloons, everyone needs to have Tzad Gimel, and rightfully so.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. What else, ladies? Anything else that's going on? Anybody else have any more questions? We're here to answer any questions as we're live. If anybody wants to write them in on Facebook, on the Zoom call, on
We had one before that we didn't answer, is if you have an event prior to the June 14th opening and you want to have the chuppah or the ceremony and then have the party later, do you change halls or
Right.
do you keep with the hall you have?
Yeah, it's a tough one. What do you think, Shani?
So I'm actually dealing with this situation now. I have a wedding before the restrictions are due to be lifted. And there's pros and cons to both. In the end, you know, it's really a personal decision, what feels right for you. In this particular case, we decided to split the two, not for financial reasons. We decided to split the two and take advantage of the fact that it's going to be a very small chuppah, and let's have it someplace that's a little bit more meaningful, not just in the typical event hall or the garden that they picked, but to have it in a place that has more mashma'ut, more significance and meaning to them.
That's such a smart idea. That's so nice.
So special, so
Yeah.
special.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sure.
please.
Hi,
Hi.
Ravita.
Hi,
Hi.
Ravita.
So basically, I have a wedding now. I'm a planner. So I have a wedding now that the couple is worried that maybe, I don't know if this question was asked before, because I joined 10 minutes later than you started, but if they scared that the venue may, how is it, pshitat regel? Well,
Go bankrupt.
yeah. So then, do they need to be worried that maybe it can happen? Or it's mean specific to this event this venue that I'm dealing with, even to that venue that it's look like a strong venue, I'm still not knowing how to answer them. And what can we do in this situation to prevent it from happening, like to make sure that they don't lose all their money, because in this case, they already pay 50% of the entire wedding to the venue. So,
What has the venue responded so far?
so basically, I didn't ask the venue. because I don't want to ask the venue this question. I don't want to show the venue that the couple are worried. So I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to see with lawyers, and so I'm trying to see here if a wedding planner already, faced this question, and maybe they have answer that ask lawyer friends, or
Penny, you want to answer?
I mean, I think it's a question for a lawyer. We're none of us, as far as I know, are lawyers. It's scary. Places in Israel have gone bankrupt, and people have lost huge deposits, sometimes even full wedding payment. It's a lawyer question. I mean, I don't think that we can answer that.
Yeah.
Make sure they have a good lawyer.
But I wouldn't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd contact the lawyer and start researching it ASAP and not wait.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right, we have questions coming in. So Judy, how about you take this one? What are you recommending for August events? Should they pause? Should they cancel? Should they postpone? Should they move forward? This specifically August.
I wish I had a crystal ball is my answer, because it's a question that all of my clients are asking me. I mean, as event planners, August is the month, and we all are loaded with events that are uncertain. I mean, it also depends on whether you're talking about internal events within people who live within Israel, or
Right.
people coming in from outside of Israel.
Good point.
That's a
People
huge
who
factor.
are in Israel, I think August is okay. Meaning, I'm hoping that there's no wave 2, no wave 3. June 14th, everything opens and we're good. If you live in Israel and you're looking to book for August, it's, I don't want to say like it's safe to do, but it's certainly much safer than if you're living abroad and right now there's no flights and you don't know when there will be flights and if you can even get here. So I think the answer really depends on, where you're coming from. And I think, it's good to temper optimism with realism, and maybe definitely look at, what the deposit is refundable, whether you can make the deposits smaller. There are venues who are willing to accept smaller deposits now than
Right.
they usually do, to hold a date, because they realize that you want to book the date, but you don't want to put yourself at financial risk.
Right.
So, again, if I knew whether August events were happening, that would be gold. But unfortunately,
But
I
as of
don't have
now,
a
yeah.
definitive
Meaning
answer.
as of now, from what we know now, the answer is yes.
Exactly.
Yes. As of now, venues, vendors are accepting bookings. As of now, the answer is definitely yes. And just one more piece, in addition to what Judy already said, is that some of the vendors now they're holding the date for you, but they're not requesting a deposit until much closer to the event.
Right. For both of their benefits, for theirs and the clients.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so how about Penny? Someone's asking, now that people are postponing their events, are they choosing different vendors? Like, meaning, like, let's say they had chosen a photographer and now they had a change. Are they choosing a different photographer? Are they changing the vendors that they're using, that the events are changing and moving?
That's not the question, actually. But sorry.
You did ask?
No, I will ask you. Basically, the question is vendors were booked, deposits were not given, and they booked vendors that were not because there are other vendors that they were not available. And
Like the
now,
original vendors that they wanted were not available. They have
Right.
no deposit between them. So are they?
and they don't have deposits with the ones that they actually booked. So
What's the
can they
question?
switch
Obviously, they
their
have to
vendors?
get someone new.
Yeah.
Right. If the band that they hired is not available, they didn't have a contract, then they didn't have a deposit, they got to get a new band.
No, but the band's still available. Hold on, Gilda, what's the question?
Okay, so that was the question, but I'm going to just clarify. The question is, now people are postponing their events, and originally they had vendors that they really, really wanted, and those vendors were unavailable. But now it's like a whole new world. Pardon me?
For the new date or for the old date?
For the new date, the vendors are now available. The original date, the people that they chose, the people that they wanted were not available, right?
Oh.
Now the new date has come, and now they're like, oh, we got a second chance. Now we want to get the vendor that we originally wanted back on the table here.
Are there contracts or
And there's not always a contract. Some people don't always do contracts, and that's fine. Or deposits, but
Not really fine.
It's not fine not to have a contract.
that's
Need a
their choice.
contract.
What I'm saying is that's their choice. I'm not going to tell everybody what to do. That's however people choose to work is how they choose to work. Okay. So now when you're navigating a new situation here where people want to choose who they've had before, and they want to choose who they had before, and they want to sort of tell the other person to take a back seat and try the other person. If they're available, they'd rather take the other person. So then you're stuck with like trying to explain to the person, this is not okay.
Okay.
Not okay at all. But at the end of the day, the client is like, well, we really want the other person. Do you want us to call? Right? So it's a problem. And they're kind of, I mean, it's a client versus vendor, and it's awful, completely awful.
Yeah,
So
sticky.
It is
it's
pretty
very,
awful.
and
Difficult to be
you can
stuck in the
only,
middle.
right, you can only tell the client so many times, this person is great. Trust me. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I think you should really stick with this person. Not
And they
best
held your
practice.
date for you. They held your date.
And they held the date, and it's not best practice. Like, I can say everything, but at the end of the day, the client is going to say, because why? At the end, what they want. Their vision of what they had in their head, the person that they wanted can
It's a
now be available.
It's a shame. It's a
But
shame.
It's a
I
hard
get-
one. Listen, it's a hard one to answer. Like,
Terrible.
you know, what do you do? Again, you did everything you're supposed to do. And
Right.
and at the end of the day, you can listen. This is people's parnasa. Like that's what when we talk about non-refundable deposits, which a question came up, is that and one of the reasons certain vendors are reducing their non-refundable deposits is because people from overseas have canceled and can't get here. But in the end, this is people's parnasa. Everyone's affected by COVID-19. It's not from the guy who cleans my shoes to the person who delivers cheese to a venue. I mean, this has affected everyone across the board, and it's very hard to tell clients that yes, your deposit is non-refundable, and they're like, but it's Corona and this, and it's like, but you booked a date, and unfortunately, yes, we know you can't make it, and you're not moving it. And so you don't get it back. And that's the same, I think, here. It's like, I think you need to say to your client, like, you booked a client, whether you're not have a contract deposit, you made a commitment, like a verbal, emotional commitment. And the answer, they're going to do what they want to do, right? Every client, we love our clients, but the thing is, it's their simcha and it's their event, and they're going to want to do what they want to do.
It's I think it's it's rare, really, in most situations and with most events. We event planners have a really good, vibe with our clients. We know how to choose the right vendors for them, and they trust us, and we go with it. And there's like a nice mutual trust, and it works forward. I think what you're describing is super rare for someone to say like, oh, yay, now that date's not available, I can hire someone else instead of him. Like most people don't do that. And I'm sure like you'll agree. It's not the right thing to do. We wouldn't encourage it.
I agree.
Gilza, I want to say that it sounds like it's a moral, ethical issue more than anything else.
Right.
It sounds like you've gone above and beyond and explained the situation. At the end of the day, it is their final decision. But I heard of a similar situation recently, and there's also a lot to discuss. It possibly the previous vendor, the original vendor, possibly he'll be rebooked, as maybe there's something to discuss, like if you are rebooked, then, maybe we don't need to pay you. And if you aren't rebooked, then maybe, you can come up with some financial agreement with him that you won't pay him or her in full, but something.
Right. So we did discuss that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as always, try to find that middle ground, the spiel as I have, that, both sides feel like they got, something at.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to say the next question now, and maybe we all could say a little bit about it because it affects all of us. We have a question here. What if I have a wedding in mid-October, but me herself, I think she's the bride herself, and part of the guests are from abroad. We need to fly in to Israel. And the wedding was already postponed from May. She postponed it from May to October. And, you know, she's asking, what should I do? I can't cancel my wedding. I don't want it to be empty. And, you know, what would you suggest for an October wedding? And for all of our viewers here, you know, this is our life. Like, welcome to our world, right? This is what we do.
We all have
Day and
clients.
night.
All of
Day
our
and
clients are from overseas, and whether it's a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, or wedding, this is what we've been dealing with. And again, I'm going to repeat it again. Like, we don't know what the, you know, the laws are going to be in terms of flying into Israel, and if they'll be allowed in, if there'll be quarantines, and if the flights, we don't know. We can't know. We only know like what we know about what's happening in Israel. That's our forte. We're keeping our ears open and our eyes open about what is happening for our clients from abroad, of course. My answer, everyone can give their own answer. My answer is October, go for it. You're having a wedding. You're having a wedding. You're going to have a wedding. Most people are going to be there. Go for it. October, don't look back. I'm very positive about that. That's my opinion. That's what I would say.
I also agree. And I think if you're worried about if people don't come because people are not flying because they don't want to fly, again, all of us have had venues that fit 400 people that we've had 100 people. There's many ways to make a venue look beautiful and not feel overwhelming that some of your guests didn't turn up. And yeah, I mean, I've done a wedding, 800 people, and we were 120 people. And there's just way you could do with the lighting, you could do with the seats, you can bring in furniture. There's so many things that you can do.
Yeah, great idea.
But Penny Yorte. But I agree with Adina. I think October we will.
Yeah, go for it.
So I second what Adina and Michal have to say, totally. With that, I would also encourage you to be a little bit realistic with your expectations, meaning not everyone that you would have expected from abroad to fly in will actually fly in. And as soon as you're more realistic with your expectations, then there's less room for disappointment.
Good advice.
Less stress. Yeah.
Absolutely.
True. So
Also, I want to be a little, I guess, philosophical and say that, as event planners, we plan. That's what we do. And now these days, we've learned that there's only a certain amount that we could plan. And at some point, we just have to sit back and just wait and see what's going to happen and try really hard to just not stress about it. Because really, it's so out of our control. So, I would say really for October, there's reason to be hopeful. There's reason to be optimistic. I agree with what Shani said. You have to adjust your expectations. But, October, in this world is very far away.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, you said to us, like, hotels, and Shani, we talked about this today, hotels are opening up.
Yes.
Hotels were one of the first things to close,
Yeah.
or even event halls, and that's something to be said. So if the hotels are opening up, then
It's a good sign.
it's a good sign.
I think we're all excited to share with you that over the past few days, we've gotten some insider information, being in the field and working very closely with a number of the hotels and halls.
Right.
And all of the feedback that we're getting is that that's the kivun that we're going. That's the direction. Some of the hotels already have a set date when they're opening. We have every reason to be hopeful. And
Right.
I want to say what Judy said, that we're event planners and that's what we do. And we plan and we plan and we plan. And all of us, we've planned and we've replanned. And if that's what has to happen, we'll replan again and we'll keep replanning until we get to the perfect plan.
So true. Shani, I love that. That's very true. So as a, part two to that question, somebody said, people are concerned that when they are allowed to start flying or feel comfortable to start flying, that they might have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. And what if you have quarantine? How can you come 2 weeks in advance? So, Penny, that's your favorite topic. That's your favorite. You're
Love to be quarantined, Penny.
I was quarantined. Not fun.
Listen, it could happen.
Quarantine.
Could happen. And I think that if once they start allowing people, let's say from the United States, to come in, I don't think that there's going to be the quarantining for 14 days. Just my.
Well, a good sign. We have a good sign now that they just announced that Cyprus is opening tourism between Israel. They're having open flights
Oh.
with no quarantine. So that's like, you know, step
Yeah.
one is one of our next door neighbors, Cyprus, and it's going to keep going further and further. So it's a good sign of the future. It's opening up. I just
I think
don't.
another good sign is that they're
Yeah.
closing the quarantine hotels,
Right.
going back to
Actually,
hotels.
that was more because they were horrible, not because they were
Some
necessary.
of them love them. Some people said they were 5-star and awesome.
Oh, they're lucky.
Yeah. Listen, we've all seen the reports. Like none of this is, you know, we've all seen that the European countries that have their numbers lowering like we do will begin again. Israel's communicating with them. How do they move forward? And if that starts to open up, then hopefully Canada and then America.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Rafa Shem.
So like, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. We're ready. For you.
We're ready for you.
Yeah. I don't see any more questions coming in. Oh, sorry. We have,
Kathy has.
Kathy, take her off mute.
don't hear her.
Kathy, wait.
You're muted.
Can I do it?
No,
Unmute.
Callie.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
hi.
on.
Now we
Can you
hear you.
hear me?
Hi.
Yes, now we do.
I'm in quarantine in my bedroom. No, I'm social distancing. No, I have a question about pricing. Are prices going to be going up, like in flowers and different things in the industry? Like, are you seeing that? What's,
In flowers?
yeah, the pricing
I
of
don't think
flowers?
I doubt that they're going to go up in flowers. People are going to be so happy to be selling flowers again.
Absolutely.
Right, so you don't.
We
think
actually
that's
we
gonna
talked
be
about
interest-
this earlier, and that I don't know if we're there. I don't know if we're going to have the deals
Right.
or the discounts. Again, people have lost millions and millions of shekels. And yes, they want your event to happen. So again, they will do what they can to have your event because that we want to get back to where we were and we want to go forward. So
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be. Again, it's negotiations. Oh, I always say, and I said this, it doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Definitely.
It never hurts to ask someone, can I get a discount? Or is there a special price? Or can I lower my minimum? Is there different prices? It never hurts to ask. That's our job. That's what we're here for. We
And
ask.
I think what you're saying is because it may not be a policy, but they may be willing to be flexible if it works for that particular event. I don't think that there's going to be major price rising of prices, or do you guys think so? I don't see it
No, I don't
happening.
think so.
Kathy, I've actually, I think all of us have actually reached out to some of our more common vendors and asked them, and they are not planning to increase prices.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. No increase and no big, discounts either. Like everyone's flexible and negotiable.
People just
Sometimes, I often tell my clients that when people ask me, do you save me money? Can you save me money? Do you negotiate on prices? Sometimes it's not the actual price. Sometimes it's not like how much does this cost, but rather what can I get for that same price? And many vendors are willing to give you a little bit more for the same
Throw
price.
things
They
in.
need they need that number to meet their mark, to make their profit, but they're willing to throw in a little bit more that makes you feel like you get, which you are getting more for that price. So
Added value. Yeah,
and value.
added value.
And that's really what we're seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot, and we're all seeing a lot, that everyone's happy and excited for events to start happening.
Makes it work, you bet.
Negotiable.
Yeah. Michal Green from Klein Studio, who a lot of us have worked with, she's watching somewhere. And Nadine, hi Nadine, I didn't see you. Printing is the same prices, so that's good to know if we're printing invitations, all that stuff.
Printing is the same, food costs the same, flowers cost the same, electricity costs the same.
Yeah.
So I know that I speak for the 5 of us panelists, and I'm pretty sure that I speak for everyone in the event industry. We don't see it as just a job. This is for all of us. It's a passion, and we love it, and we feel blessed to be working in the event planning industry. And all of us, not only the 5 panelists here, but everyone in the event field is just so anxious and eager to get back to what they love. It's not like
It's so true. It's true.
good
We're
job. We wake up every day.
socially involved. Hey, Nadine.
Hi, I have a question for you guys. First of all, thank you for all the insights. I've been listening from the beginning.
So happy here.
We have been wondering, you spoke about it a little bit, Dina, regarding the dancing. And you sound very optimistic. Unfortunately, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I'm not as optimistic as you are, due to the fact that there is no vaccine. So I believe that as long as there is no vaccine, even if they will open events for more than 100 people, whenever that might be, I believe that social distancing and masks will be a must no matter what, which actually means that dancing is kind of a problem.
I think it's a challenge.
So we spoke about it.
Sunny said
That's
it
what Sunny
before.
said, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, and I believe that there are creative solutions. And I think that, Nadine, at the beginning, I think people will be scared to come out, to be close to each other. But I think that, you know, people very quickly want to get back to
Nadine,
and Shigran. You know,
Shani, you said-
I think that what we saw in IKEA here in Israel was a pretty good indication that people are anxious and eager to get out.
Well, that I agree with 100%. I'm thinking more about the legal point of view, from the point of like, okay, we can all be creative, and I think we all are, and we can all do whatever we want to. The question is, are we allowed to even offer dancing?
It's not about us. I don't think it's about us offering. And I mean, and I think if we said it in the disclaimers, okay. At the end of the day, our clients are going to want to do what they want to do. And again, they will, you know, if they come up with a creative way to dance, and we've all seen it and we've all watched it, and we've all thought of ways to do it, then it's going to be up to the clients, and it's going to be up to the people that actually come to the event. And there'll be a lot of people who will not dance, and there are a lot of people who will. And, you know, unless the venue is saying, if you do your event here, you can't have dancing, right? And that, and let's
I haven't even heard that as an option. No
right,
one-
and I don't even imagine that happening. I do really believe it's up to the clients and to the guests. And we saw it when we went from big weddings to 100 weddings to 10 weddings, to 10 people, guests. The people came up with very creative ways, and we weren't allowed to dance then, and we still did. So, and we were supposed to social distance then. I do think it's me up to the client, nothing to do with us as event planners, and it's their simcha, it's their event. So
I have two more points about that. One is that in your initial 10, 50, that inner circle, those are your closest, your family. There's no way to stop them. There's no way to stop your mother from dancing, and your sister, and, you know, your best buddy. So you're going to have that dancing. The question is everyone going to dance? So there's never an everyone, but will that inner circle, the closest, the ones that are most important to you, the ones that are happiest for you, with you, absolutely, they're going to dance.
Totally.
That's number one. And number two, I just want to say also, the five of us, we don't intend at all, we don't encourage, the opposite, we encourage everyone to follow the rules. We're not looking to break any rules. We're not looking to, you know, cheat any systems at all. All of us, we pay our taxes. We're all good law-abiding citizens.
According to the guidelines that were given, and
Absolutely.
and all the instructions that were given, 100%. That's why we were talking about, you know, we only
creative solutions, but following all guidelines, everything legal. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. So I think that I think this was really informative and helpful. I think it was so great for everybody to come in and to listen. And like Shani said, we love what we do. We care about our clients. We care about our future clients. We care about this industry. We care about events in Israel happening. We want our vendors to be busy and successful and happy, and we want clients to keep coming and making parties. And so that's why we did this tonight. We wanted to encourage everyone and feel positive that it's happening, it will happen, and it can be great, it will be great. And on that note, we're all happy to answer your questions. Please feel free to contact us, Facebook and Instagram, and all the ways that we can be contacted to ask us any questions and for any guidance. You know, we're I'm not saying that like we do event planning for free, but we're happy to answer questions for people who are really in a bind and need guidance, because we want this to happen. Am I right, girls? We're all in this.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
100%.
So on that note, thank you so much, everyone. It was
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for signing in, guys.
Bye.